And we're back. Day 2 of Let's Get Your Sparkle Back, ladies. So on my podcast yesterday, I talked about how I felt invisible when I was younger and how when I changed my clothing, all of a sudden I was visible. I discovered that clothes were not just fabric. They were not just about colors and patterns and prints. They were armor and confidence, and sometimes the only way that I felt powerful. Even when I didn't believe in myself or something was going on in my life, my style spoke for me. Have you ever used your style or lack thereof to hide or to shine? Let's talk about it. When I was in my early 20s, I got married and had my 2 beautiful daughters, and I really lost my style for a little while. I stayed at home for the first 6 months with Katana, and then I was home for about 4 months maybe with Kayla. My body was not what it once was, and I've always been petite but curvy, and I felt like I had lost myself. Now I know you know what that feels like when your hair isn't looking how you want it to look, or your makeup's looking a little crazy, or your skin is not looking its best, or your body's not where you want it to be. For us ladies, and I'm sure for men too, it's not the makeup maybe so much, but you just feel meh. And what I discovered was, even when I didn't feel like getting dressed up or feel like putting on my clothes and putting in the effort, when I did, it was like the goddess came out. Style isn't shallow. Style isn't just about judging somebody because they don't have enough of what we think, like money, or they're not wearing the best designer, this or that or whatever. Style is powerful. Style can tell a whole story about who you are or who you're not, and even who you aspire to be. After I'd had Kayla, my second daughter, soon thereafter, I would say a couple of years later, my first husband and I divorced, and I remarried very quickly, right after that divorce. In fact, the same year. Now, why I did that is a whole different story. We're not talking about that today, but that is a story. And as soon as I got married, I got pregnant with my son, Anthony. Now, during the pregnancy, I'd been having a whole lot of problems with my skin. All of a sudden, my face just started breaking out right before I got pregnant with him. And it was so annoying. And I tried everything. I went to the dermatologist. They put me on different medications, and some of them made my face kind of blow up. None of them actually really cured the skin. Then they put me on these steroids, and that was the worst. And it was just terrible. And I know, vain as it is, right? You want to hide your face when your skin's looking crazy. And it was looking crazy. And not only that, then the steroids were making me retain water, so I was gaining weight, and then my clothes weren't fitting, and I was just super frustrated. Like, I didn't know what to do with myself. And I eventually, before I got pregnant with Anthony, I got off of the steroids. I just said, screw it, whatever's going to happen with my skin is going to happen. And then once I got pregnant, then it resolved itself. I don't know if it's just the thing of growing a baby inside of you kind of resolves certain things. It obviously causes you other things too, but I don't know, the skin issue went away shortly thereafter. So now I've had my 3rd baby, and it's like, whoa, my body's still, again, not what I wanted to be. And after I had Anthony, maybe like 2 years later, I had a tummy tuck. And I researched the heck out of having this tummy tuck. I watched all of the plastic surgery stories I could find that were on at the time. I think like Dr. 90210 was a thing back then. I researched as much as I could about what the recovery was, what the risks were, all these things. Because at that point, I tried to work out for like 2 years, and my skin on my stomach was just so stretched out. And my clothes weren't fitting. I didn't look good in a bathing suit. I just didn't feel great. My sparkle was gone again. Now, just to be sure, I'm not advocating plastic surgery for anybody, but for me, it was the right choice. And after I had that tummy tuck, it was the best thing I ever did for myself. My clothes fit better. I just felt better about myself in general because I just couldn't, it was loose skin. It was some fat too, let's just be clear. But I worked out for 2 years. The pudge just wasn't moving. And I was just not happy with it. So that was what I chose to do at that time to reclaim my sparkle. So tell me, what have you done in your life? Where were you when you couldn't lose the weight, or your skin was acting crazy, or your hair was flipping out, or it was falling out, or it was whatever was going on with it? Tell me about this. I want to hear your stories because you're not alone. There is something about telling people what happened to us in our lives, or happened for us, I guess, that helps us change things for each other. And one funny note, when I was going to get this tummy tuck, my mother was like, "Why are you doing that? This is what your nature's supposed to happen after you have babies." And I'm just like, that might be true for you, but it's not true for me. She even asked me where my will was in case I died during surgery so that they would know what to do with me. I laugh now, but it wasn't funny then. And so I was about 30, 32, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was right around there. And even when I was going to have the surgery and you had to sign all that paperwork, and it was like, yeah, the anesthesia, it's a possibility you might not wake up, you might not come back, or something could go wrong. And I was like, okay. Like if I was dead, I wouldn't know it, right? So I make fun, but plastic surgery is a personal choice. And again, I'm not advocating it for everybody because it's not. And you have to be healthy, and you have to make it so that you're not constantly doing surgery to fix yourself either. Let's just say that, because people do get body dysmorphia from having all these surgeries, and that's not, you just don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's dark and full of terrors down there. Let's just say. So now I've had this surgery, and I was already going to the gym. I was really strong. Now I had my 6-pack, or really it was kind of a 4-pack because I'm short. But I maintained it. I was working out. It was so great. I just was so happy. I had to redo all my whole wardrobe because all my clothes just fit differently. And most things I had to get rid of because it just, when you have a tummy and then you don't, it's a whole new story. And then weirdly enough, people thought I had my boobs done because I guess when you clear out all of the stuff going on here, it makes everything up here look really perky. And people kept saying, "Did you have your boobs done?" And I'm like, no, no, didn't touch the tatas. We just had the fat sucked out. And by the way, they did pull out about 4 Coke bottles of fat, all, front, back, side of my tummy. So I did have a little bit stored there. I guess that happens when you have little bambinos. So that's all for today. Day 3, we're going to go on to tomorrow. And I want to hear all your stories. I want you to share everything because I love hearing them. And I love walking people through their journeys of reclaiming their radiance. And we're going to get your sparkle back. So like, follow, and share to finish the story, to follow my story. And I want to hear yours too. Ciao for now.